Welcome to Stockradar Stocks on the Move. Today's date is the 19th of August 2021. Today I want to focus on our second price signal, the trend reversal or the trend swing, which often precedes a surge in prices as buyers and sellers undergo a re-evaluation process as the controller swings from buyer to seller. Today I'm going to focus on that in the trading tactics a bit later on. My name is Richard Lee and I manage the stockradar.com.au website for you. Education, price analysis, systems, behavioural analysis, processes, trading models, portfolios are all explored to help you understand the market better. Sometimes we forget we aren't just looking at lines on a chart, but a graphical representation of the all-important buyer-seller relationship. This is all sorts of repetitive and useful characteristics that provide many advantages to the price analyst. Understanding that buyer-seller relationship is what I spend a lot of my time doing. Okay, so I'm going to have a bit of a look at that. That's my main thing. I'm talking about price action. As we know, the indicators are always secondary to the prices, but that's really what I try and do. Focus on these areas in the website to try and educate you as best we can. Okay, so firstly what we're going to go through is we go through the overseas markets, the ASX 200, Stockradar portfolio, the ASX stocks, and last of all, I will go through building a portfolio, an update on that, which I did drop off last week. I apologise for that. And in trading tactics, we're going to look at the trend reversal nice and closely, the trend swing higher, and see what we can ascertain as to what the uses and benefits of it are. Okay, so let's get into the markets just straight off. Dow Jones. Let's go to, okay, the Dow Jones, here we are. Okay, it's trending higher as there's no reason to doubt this. We've had a bit of a wobble last night, but there's no real concern in the scheme of things of this rally. We certainly wouldn't need more damage to be done yet before we worry about anything. So we're in a perspective mode at the moment, not to worry, just deal with the things as we deal with appropriately. So I'll talk about that more today. The Nasdaq, again, similarly, has had a tip off the last day or two, but really in the scheme of things, it's still holding its trend and looks fine. Let's go to Brent Crude now. Brent Crude, it's changing things a little bit here. Now we can see here the price pressure up at R1 is starting to weigh here a little bit on the price. Not only have we got this little trend, this short-term impulse move breaking, we've got the support levels here breaking, the averages around here, and we can also see clearly the volume has also moved a lot higher here, and the momentum has just started to slow on the upside. So although we are still in an uptrend, we could be looking to enter a bit of a corrective phase, and which would be a natural thing after a rally like this and a move towards R1. So keep an eye on Brent Crude. It's having a bit of a struggle at the moment. Now if we go to copper. So copper is also a similar situation. We had a bit of a dump down last night, looking very much like the gold price, where it came off, it rallied, failed. We've got a higher low up here, a lower high up here, which is not such a good sign. And now we're seeing pressure from the sellers. There's nothing really going on here, apart from a good two-way battle of buyers and sellers. But as the price is starting to ease, I think the sellers may be starting to get in control of this one. So copper and oil both looking like they're a bit of a corrective phase at the moment, and we have a quick look at gold. Not that it's going to tell us much more. We're in mid-range at the moment, just hovering between this R1, S1 area. The lower high here again, which I'm a bit of concern about, putting pressure on S1. So at the moment, I'm neutral on gold stocks anyway, pretty well. So that's where we are with gold. Okay, now the XJO. All my things are mixed up today, so I've got to find them. Okay, XJO. Now, we've had a couple of down days this week. We're concerned the materials have come off a bit. Most of the rest of the market's okay. Again, it's a situation where you don't worry, you just deal with the things as they come. If your stops go off, you go off. We're going to look at things like BHP, Fortescue, all these stocks a bit later on today, and just see where they are and see what stocks are also doing pretty well. So the ASX 200 has come off. No real concern here. You can see the trend is still well in track. We have these brief moments of doubt and the market continues higher. Until that sort of pattern of behaviour changes, I'm not too concerned about it at the moment. So the Stockradar portfolio was flat at 86 of 189 stocks covered. There were 3 in and 3 out this week. The portfolios are full. The 5 is full of 5. 10 is full with 10 stocks. The conservative portfolio is a safe portfolio, 6 out of 20 stocks, but it's still got those good stocks in there, like Telstra, which is rallying, CBA, which is rallying, James Hardie, which is rallying, and that keeps that conservative portfolio going along quite nicely. And as far as the sectors go, we've still got those same sectors at the top there: banks, industrial materials and property up the top there. So they're still the driving force. And the building portfolio, it was up, I think last Friday, up about 13.5%. It'll be down a little bit this week, but we'll have a look at that a bit later on. Okay, so that's the ASX 200, and you can see what's happening there. And you can see again, this is strong but steady momentum here. So again, I'm not too concerned at the moment. Okay, so let's get into some stocks here. So first off, I want to have a look at JB Hi-Fi. Is a stock that I haven't looked at for a while, and for obvious reasons, there is no trend. However, if we look at this stock at the moment, we can see this stock is just trading between R1, up around $53, to S1 down around $42, and that's where it is. Until this range is resolved, I'm not really interested in this stock, because although as good a stock as it may be, we've had some very good upside there. It's not responding so well at the moment to some good reports. There's definitely a battle going on here. The momentum is flat. So really it is a JB Hi-Fi at an I don't know stage. I've seen stocks like this come off. I've seen them break up. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to watch my boundaries here. If S1 breaks, I'm not interested if it goes down further. If R1 breaks, then I am interested, because there's a potential trend starting to occur. So for JB Hi-Fi, trend intensity rating is 0, and you can see why, because it's just going sideways and has done for pretty well a year. Okay, now the next one I want to have a look at is one we looked at last week. And again, you're going to find at the moment there are some stocks doing fine. Okay, so don't be get too sort of flapped about a little bit. We know that the material stocks are having a bit of pressure, but some stocks are doing fine. Stocks like Aurora, which we did look at last week, you can see it pushing hard at this high. And again, it hasn't resolved. I don't know what it's done today. It's probably about the same. Trend intensity rating of 9. It's still pushing high at this level here. So again, focus on your stocks. Don't worry about what the market's doing, to see what your own stocks are doing. And this is looking a very good stock. And I really am very encouraged by this performance. And it may well break through the high, which really would mean another good leg up for Aurora. So we'll wait and see. Volume supportive. Momentum's very strong. Trend intensity rating is 9 with the average up here. Okay, so that's looking very, very good. You can see the trend reversal pattern here that occurs, then the trend unfolds, and we raise our stop and we follow the trend, because we don't know how far it's going to go. We just follow it till it ends. Okay, so the next stock I want to have a look at, well, and a similar picture to that one was Iris, which I looked at a few weeks ago. I'm not going to cover it today. And DMP is another stock which is also performing very nicely at the moment. So, as I say, there are some stocks that are doing very well. Next one I want to have a look at is Sonic Health, which I haven't looked at for a while as well. It also, we can see the health stocks here have been very strong. We know ResMed's been very strong, blowing the share price out of the water. Sonic Healthcare, since it made its new highs up here, just have a look at this one. What we're doing is trying to build a picture of something that's happening, okay? Now, Sonic Healthcare's got a trend intensity rating of 10. We know it's gone up a long way, but did we get in, and why did we get in? So this really was a sideways trading action here. You could look at JB Hi-Fi, whatever. These sideways trading actions are really not for anybody to trade, because they're just going sideways. But here we start to get, what we start to get here with Sonic Healthcare is we get a rally up to here. It comes back to this support level here, which is held a couple of times here. It rallies again to this high level here, up around $35, $36, then comes back. Then we see number 2 here, or support comes in. Number 2 is the higher low, and that's a clue that there is some keen support. Remember I talked about buyer-seller relationship before? The buyers are starting to get a little bit stronger than the sellers. So then I look for the next step, which is the new high, and here we go. We get the new high. We enter the stock the next day. Trend intensity rating is 10, which says it's now time to go. So we buy the stock on the Monday, and then I follow it from there. So that's how I've been in there. So I'm only focusing on my key parameters. I'm not worried about PE ratios, return on equity, dividend yield, nothing like that. If you have a strategy, you make sure you focus on it and shoot for it, because that's the most important thing. So I've just got a few things there that have just told me this price is likely to go up, and that's what I do. And if a trend is going to emerge, I'm just going to follow it until it stops. And I don't know where it's going to stop. It's already up at $42 from that $36 level. So pretty impressed with the move so far. And as I said before, I don't know how it's going to go. Trend intensity rating is 10. Okay, so that's Sonic Health. There are plenty of stocks making new highs. Helios, there's another one there. DMP, BKW, Westfarmers is going along, and also Suncorp's another one. Okay, another stock I looked at last week again, just to bring you back for a bit of perspective. Don't be too concerned about the market. Medibank Private is doing fine. It's had a really good rally this year. since we saw this breakout point. It's been very, very strong indeed, and now it's pushing up here. We can see some great volume here. The momentum's good. Why would you sell a stock like this? This has got a picture of health, and it is still climbing. Okay, and I don't know what it's done today, but I don't think it'll be off very much, because that's not the way. It's not responding to that materials sell-off at the moment. So Medibank Private's looking very good, very solid. That's a good stock for you to hold. Now, we're going to have a quick look at Fortescue and BHP. Reason being, Fortescue really wasn't performing very well before compared to BHP, and I'm not too sure why. It's much more of a single product. Doesn't have the iron ore, doesn't have doesn't have the copper, doesn't have the oil that BHP has. So it was struggling certainly, and we know the iron ore price has come down to around 150 at the moment. So this has certainly struggled Fortescue here, and we haven't been in this one for a while. We've been waiting for this to break. It tried to break, we've been stopped out, and we just let this thing see what happens from here. Okay, so that's Fortescue at the moment, and it looks like it's going to be coming back towards S2 for the moment. And we can see the seller starting to appear, and the acceleration is slowing again. So this little break up here really hasn't worked out. We just stop ourselves and get out and move on from that. Okay, the next one I want to have a look at is the BHP one, because BHP also, up until this week, was looking very good. It actually broke out of that little pattern that we saw and was kicking high. It actually tested up around this $50, $54, $55 area and then came back, and now we're seeing this little sell-off at the moment. Lots of things happening with BHP, the Woodside business, the dual listing business, the commodities change. Copper and oil are certainly under pressure at the moment, so we've got to watch those things. So again, I don't know what's going to happen. We saw the Auroras and the Sonic Health and the Medibank Private, they're all fine. These ones we have to think about. We have to manage these things appropriately. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, so we just see what happens tomorrow, see where the stop is compared to the price action, and then we make our decision. And there's no point worrying or doubting anything at the moment. That's how you do. They're my parameters, and that's how I work. So BHP is looking like it's a bit of a struggle at the moment. I think it was a stock on alert last night for Stockradar members, and we'll just see how it performs in the next day or so. But it's certainly had a bit of a change here. That's a big sell-off here, and there's a bit of volume there, so we've got to take note of that. Okay, so we're well ahead on BHP anyway. We bought a well down here, so we're okay. We've just given back a little bit, but that's how it works sometimes. We just make sure we do the right thing, so we don't make sure any of that more of that profit disappears if that's what the stock tells us to do. Okay, so there we got BHP. Now on a brighter side of thing, I want to look at a couple of other stocks here. Firstly, WiseTech, which really has done very, very little for quite some time. But these stocks are certainly worth looking at the moment. They're attracting a bit of attention again. And you can see here WiseTech, where we had a huge uptrend from here, and then went into we reached the high in sort of middle of 2019. We've come down and we've dallied down below there ever since then. Now we've had this little sideways action through here for the last year, with the highs up around 33 that is, and the lows up around 25. Okay, now we're starting to see a bit of a shift here. Now the volume's a bit hard to read here because that volume's so much from there before. So what we're seeing is a little bit of volume, spark of interest on this big jump up here, momentum starting to gather, and it's above the average. So that says to me, with all these things great, all I need is the price confirmation. That will be a break of these highs here. So certainly looks like this is starting to crumble, and it looks very interesting. Trend intensity is rating of 2, so we're going to watch this one closely. And if we go to the next one I want to have a look at, which is its brother Zero, or the same sort of world. We can also see it's all in a similar situation where it's had resistance up here at about $148, $149. It's had support down here around 110. Okay, so we're now in this consolidation pattern, but I think I looked at this a while ago in the newsletter, and we can just see the uses of the moving average here. It really hasn't turned down at all, and it's actually turning back up again. So this is really looking to me like a consolidation pattern waiting to break up. Okay, I'll be looking for a little bit more volume here. There's a little bit occurring here on the highs. We've seen some good spikes of interest in a couple of these rallies here. It just hasn't yet had the power to get through this resistance up around 150. I'm also seeing momentum, which is also starting to turn positive as we move up here as well. So again, trend intensity rating is +2, but it's looking like it's certainly worth watching. For the moment, this might be the next sector to go for a bit of a run, because we do know when these guys break out, they can really run when they want to. So keep an eye on those two stocks. They are interesting stocks. Now, the last couple of weeks I've gone through a few stocks like CIMIC, like Horizon, and I'm going to look at Amcor next week. This week I'm going to look at Treasury Wine Estates. It's again, it's a stock that's come down a long way, like those ones I looked at before, Horizon and CIMIC, but are they offering opportunity at these levels? So we've got to look at what's actually happening here. And on this chart here, I've actually got quite a lot of action on here, so you might want to just take a photo of this and print it off. But what we've got here, we know that Treasury Wine Estates had a huge rally back in 2016, 2017, reached a peak around 2018-19, struggled at this level here up around about $20 just below there, and eventually broke down and collapsed down. So this was a trend phase, this is a distribution phase, this is the downtrend phase, and now we move into what I call an accumulation phase. That's how the stock cycle works: distribution, downtrend, accumulation, uptrend, distribution, downtrend. That's how it works. They take all different shapes and sizes. That's why we need to have a very close look at what the buyer-seller relationship is saying. Okay, so now we know this is broken down. We've got the double top here. It broke down below the average. We saw the volume, the MACD all said negative. Now we're getting this lows down here. So we've got our first low back here in March 2020. Then all this period here is held above these lows all through to middle of 2020. And the last 12 months, it's spent its time going from about $8 up to about nearly $12. Now, this is looking like an accumulation pattern to me. I can see the volume being big, getting busier. I can see the momentum improving. All I need, again, is price confirmation, and that comes from a break of the peak between the two lows. Okay, and that's where my trigger is set on this one. So that's key. So we'll have to wait and see what happens to that. But it's an interesting looking stock. All the ingredients are there. We can see a bit of volume starting to appear down here again. So it's switched to above and now rising moving average, which is good. So again, I just need the price. And whether we get another move like this or not, I don't know. All we do is we take the signal, we set our stop, and we follow it as far as it's going to go. So I think Treasury Wine Estates, it has had a tough time of late, but I think it's now starting to trying to attract investors' interest a little bit more now. Okay, so that's all the stocks I've got for you today. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about what's happening in the market. Focus on what I do. Everything is okay. All right, now, what I want to do, last week I talked about the new high and the power thrust, as we call it. This week I want to look at the trend reversal and the trend swing in trading tactics this week. So the market's like a pendulum. It just swings to and fro, and we're just going to try and ride those waves up, and we get them, we get out when they swing down, and that's what we're trying to do. So we'll keep an eye on that. So I'm just going to go through a couple of things I went through last week. My two things are trend reversals and new highs, and that's all managed with a stop loss. That's all it really is. Okay, nothing clever about it. However, I have a very specific strategy with a process to get there and the control to implement it. Okay, so as I said last week, it's analysis in, money management out. So all these things here you want to think about. Control. Do you have control of yourself? Especially like this week, we must control what we do. Don't let the market control you. That's vital. Okay, you've got to have process, you've got to have focus, objective, systems, discipline, confidence, all these things that go into making a successful strategy, not just the analysis of the MAC doing this or what doing that. There's a lot of other things involved with making a success of it. Okay, so the trend reversal itself, what is it? Okay, it's something that occurs after a downtrend, so it's usually at a low point, and the control is swinging from sellers to buyers, which we saw on the Treasury Wine Estates chart. You can see the selling coming in here and the buyers starting to turn it up, and eventually there will be a trigger. So there's a slow psychological response to changing conditions, okay, using TWE as an example. The buying forces start to overcome the selling forces, which suddenly triggers a price adjustment. So we're now starting to see that sway from the sellers to the buyers, and eventually we'll get that trigger where the crowd behaviour is the price behaviour. We get that trigger, and all of a sudden everyone says, right, it's not going down any further, this stock is going up, and they all want to jump on board, and then you get that sharp move higher, that crowd behaviour thing. That's what I'm trying to capture all the time, whether it's a momentum swing or trend reversal. It's getting onto that crowd behaviour when they're likely to move and shift the market, shift the price quickly. Natural market forces swing one way then the other. Catching the wave at the right time is the aim, and that's what I do with my trade plan. Okay, it's about observation. Okay, so the trend reversal, easy steps. Firstly, support appears. So I'm going to use Fletcher Building as an example, and I see today that trend is continuing higher, amazing as it may seem, but it is. But we're just going to look at this example of when it actually did reverse back here in late 2020. So support appeared, like TWE, we have a downtrend here. We get some support appearing, accumulation pattern. You've got 3 common lows points here, okay? The downtrend stops. The downtrend starts to erode. So the downtrend line starts to break, the price starts to move above the average. We get a reversal structure developing. This peak here, the high between the 2 lows, is the point of our switch. Okay, so the price trigger moves above the switch, and that is when you trigger. That's the trigger for the reversal to be complete and for the crowd behaviour to start getting on board. Okay, now sometimes it doesn't get on board straight away. It did for a week, then we had 2 weeks, 3 weeks of sideways movement, then it went bang, bang, bang. So sometimes it's hard to actually catch it right, but this is what we actually try and do, try and isolate as near as we can to that point. And you can see the volume here, the moving average, everything was saying this is a strong buy, and it's performed very well. So from here on in, once I've got the switch, the position is in money managed, and you can see here there's been no pullbacks of 15% or more, and the whole rally through to where it is now, and I think it's a bit higher again today. So that's what we're looking for. It's just observing the buyer-seller relationship, putting some structure around it so that I can get certain triggers that tell me what to do. And that's what we're doing at the moment. Okay, so I'm following these steps. There's no need to finesse entry and exits. When you get a signal, just do it. We stated that last week. Don't try and finesse. It's a futile, stressful game. Trading the high probability numbers to create a trading edge and a result. I'm just going to behave the same way all the time. Some will work, some will not work, but they'll work more often than not if I play those statistical probabilities. Okay, so that's really most of my trading tactics this week. Just quickly, we're going to go and look at the portfolio. Now, this is as it was of Friday. The 5 stocks were Independence Group, Adelaide Brighton, Mineral Resources, Computershare, and Washington Sol. Now, I know Independence Group and, of course, Mineral Resources will be down a bit today. That's fine. It's all part of the process. Markets go up, markets go down. We just deal with them as they are. You'll notice none of these are near their stops. They're all in profit. They're all doing well. That's since March. April, May, June, July, August. So that's from five months. It's done pretty well. And so we just manage this portfolio through all market conditions, all types. We just simply look at our stops, raise our stops, and keep managing these positions. We just watch this portfolio every now and then, and it's already grown pretty well because the market's been so strong. But it's a solid portfolio at this stage. We've now got stops that are in good positions, and it's looking very good indeed. Okay, so that's it. The building a portfolio aims to give you perspective. It has stops in there to keep you safe. Markets go up and down. The portfolio stays the same. We don't respond unless we're told to. Okay, so this is really a controlled environment, the building a portfolio. It's all part of having the systems, the signals, the switches, the stops, the portfolios which have certain conditions and things like that. So it's all about control. Okay, you control the market. Okay, so trend swing. The trend reversal of swing higher provides a delightful sweet spot of leverage from when sellers are exiting and buyers are buying. All of a sudden there is a market imbalance of buyers and sellers. There's only one way the price can go under these conditions until that balance is restored. There are more buyers than sellers, so our price must move higher. They're the ways we look for to ride and to ride hard. That is the Stockradar way. Okay, we build these stocks into a carefully controlled and planned portfolio of stocks that is always designed to keep costs down and the profits flowing, no matter what anyone says. I believe in myself and I believe in my process. So good luck for the trading week. Thanks everybody for listening. I hope you all learned something today, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks a lot.